What makes a relationship toxic? That's a fantastic question. Hello, my name's Kirby. I'm an attachment and trauma specialist. I shoot these videos every day to try to help people navigate some of the more difficult aspects of life. I teach in-person classes, online seminars, etc., etc. And today's question is, what is it that makes a relationship toxic? This one's super interesting because when I ask it in the live classes, the response that I get back from people is usually traits of a relationship that they would identify as toxic, which is different than what are the things that cause toxicity to begin with. Okay, so what are some of the traits? Traits we hear about are, I don't feel seen and heard. My partner is super selfish. They shut down and they're emotionally unavailable. Or they shut down and pull away, kind of the avoidant archetype. And the other one is they're just simply emotionally unavailable. They're physically here with me, but they don't actually engage with my emotions. They don't demonstrate any of their own emotions. They can't describe any of their emotions. Uncertainty, unpredictability, these are often described as being traits of a toxic relationship. And those ones are getting even more interesting and quirky because that starts getting into the point where it's just like, oh, this is toxic for you because you have a high need for certainty. And so if your partner is not providing that for you, you're going to feel unwell, dissatisfied with that relationship, and then you're going to attach the toxic label to it. Right? There's some differences there. Okay, so these are the traits of a relationship that most people will refer to as toxic. But there's a whole other set of traits that are even more intense. So this is going to be the places where it's like violence, abuse, manipulation, theft, long-term deception, cheating, stealing, manipulation, physical coercion. These are also traits of a relationship that we're going to say is super toxic. Right, so we kind of have one word that's covering this vast array of relationship experiences. But the question that I'm asking today, and the one that really helped me understand years ago, is that what is it that causes a relationship to become toxic? What is the situation that is in that other person? Or maybe, what is the belief pattern that's inside me that brings me to a point where our relationship is basically now moving in toxic ways? We are spinning around in toxic behavior response patterns. Did I cause that? Or did they cause that? Great question. Okay. So we can get to the point where it's just like, I know that this dynamic that we have is dissatisfying. I really don't like what's going on between me and my partner. We're fighting all the time. When he or she talks in a certain way, talks down to me, I don't feel seen or heard. Like if I have a kind of emotional dysregulation that I'm really struggling with something, I don't feel safe sharing it with them because I'm afraid that they're going to judge me or shame me or dismiss me. Like I don't really want to be in a situation where I go to my partner looking for solace and support, and then they basically say, why are you bothering me? Go away. And then they turn back to the television, right? That classifies as a toxic dynamic. So what is underneath all this? Is there a theme? Is there a belief pattern or behavioral response, a nervous system reaction that's inside me or them that leads to these moments? And I believe there is. I believe we have a theme. And that theme is, I want you to be different than you are. I want you to be different than you are. You don't like to put the toilet seat down after you're done using it. I like that. I wish you would. I want you to be the kind of person that puts the toilet seat down after you use the toilet. But you're not. And now I'm dissatisfied. And people say, that can't lead to toxicity. Watch. Watch that. Another example is that like one partner might have beliefs about cleanliness, bacteria, germs, and have a really strong aversion to disorder. That like one partner might have a really high value system, very high in their value hierarchy, might be cleanliness, order, predictability. The forks are all lined up in the right way. The towels are like hanging in exactly the right way so that when they walk into the kitchen after dinner, it just looks clean and orderly. And they're just like, this is okay. I like this. That's their value system. That's who they are. They've got whatever beliefs they have and whatever experiences that have led them to the point where this is very high on their value hierarchy. Okay, that's the reality and truth of who they are. Okay, now we have a partner over here on this side. This partner is like, I don't care about that at all. Like that arranging the towels, who cares? Like there's other things in this life that I care about far, far more than whether or not the forks are lined up, whether or not the towels are hanging the right way. You know what? I don't even care if the place is clean or orderly. It's like, we'll survive. It will survive. Like I've got a finite amount of time in my life and I only have a certain amount. I definitely have a small window of time after work in the evening that I can actually do something and engage in some behaviors and activities that actually bring me happiness and joy in my life. Cleaning the kitchen is not one of them. So if I only have 4 hours, in the evening and cleaning the kitchen is not high on my value hierarchy, but hanging with friends is, getting some exercise, watching some kind of movie, making some kind of progress on a creative project, whatever, right? If those are high on my value hierarchy and I only have a limited amount of time and cleanliness of the kitchen is low, we're going to have conflict. We're going to have big conflict. The person that wants the clean kitchen they're not just going to be like, hey, please clean the kitchen. Please do it for me. Some will do that. That's on the healthier end. On the other end of the spectrum is the one where it's just like, I don't want to have to nag you about it every day. I don't want to have to request or tell or whatever. This is very important to me and you need to do it. And it's not just that I want you to do the activity. I want you to be someone that wants to do the activity as much as I do. Does that make sense? Frequently, the situation that will lead to very, very toxic dynamics is that I want you to be someone where you will value the same things that I value at the same level of the value hierarchy. So it's not just that I want you to clean the kitchen, it's that I want you to be someone that wants to clean the kitchen and I don't ever have to tell you to do it. Boom. Toxicity. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that exact dynamic play out. Maybe it's a kitchen, maybe it's a bedroom, maybe it's laundry, maybe it's driving, who knows? There's a million other ways that this plays out. But it's always the same fundamental dynamic. I want you to be someone that will do that of your own volition, of your own desire. I want you to be someone that cares about that as much as I do. And the fact that you're not makes me dissatisfied, makes me displeased with you, makes me angry that this relationship is the way it is, and I'm not going to get my kitchen cleaned every day unless I go do all the work. And what do? You sit around and play games or hang with your friends or whatever. I want you to be different than you are. Now, let's look at the other partner. The other partner is sitting there being like, what's the big deal? Like, we ate our dinner. We put the dishes in a general pile. They will get cleaned eventually. But the main thing is that, like, I've only got my 4 hours and I'm stressed. I'm tired. Maybe I hate my life. Maybe I hate my job. Like, maybe I am dealing with my own internal battles having to do with insecurity or financial loss or stress in the family or whatever. I've got things that I care about, and I really truly care about them, but the kitchen is not one of them, right? I want to hang with my friends. I want to just have some chill time where I can just shut off my brain and melt in front of a movie or video game or whatever. Like, there's things that are very high in my value hierarchy that I want to go pursue with the limited amount of time I have. And if I have to carve out, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour to make sure that this kitchen is perfectly, idyllically composed the way that's going to satisfy you so that I can avoid conflict, right? Because see, at that point, I'm not doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it to make my partner happy and to prevent conflict. Well, now I've just given up 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever, in service of that goal, which is avoiding conflict. And now I've got less time to do the things I really want to. I walk out of that situation with some stress. I walk out of that situation with some resentment. Not always, obviously. Some people will do that with all the love in their heart because partner matters to them that much, in which case their value hierarchy is saying keeping partner happy is higher on their value hierarchy than things like being dissatisfied with cleaning the kitchen, which I don't care about. So now that person is moving into a situation where they're just like, I don't like doing this. I've got some low-key resentment about the fact that I have to do this all the time just to keep you happy. I mean, I'm totally fine cleaning the kitchen every once in a while. And we need dishes and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, this is a very intense chronic thing for you. And just to keep the peace and avoid conflict and maintain, peace in this relationship, I'm going to have to take my desires and shunt them down in order to do this so that you can be happy. And then you're just like, wait a second, that's starting to feel unfair. That's starting to feel one-sided. Now I'm starting to have resentment towards my partner. Why can't you sometimes just be okay with stuff not being the way you want it to? Why does it always have to become a drama? Why does everything have to turn into a big emotionally intense episode? And now partner's sitting here saying, I want you to be different than you are. I want you to be a person that's just okay leaving it alone sometimes. I want you to be the kind of person that will value the same things I value. Connection, time, friendship, etc., whatever it is that I'm valuing. I want you to be valuing the same things that I value, and I don't want this to have to be a conflict and fight every time. I want you to be different than you are. Okay, now we set the stage. This is the way that toxicity plays out. This is the thing, it's the thought patterns, the response patterns, this kind of inner quiet desire I have that wants my partner to be different than they are. And as soon as one person is saying, I want you to be different than you are, eventually we can't hide that. Eventually that person will begin to see it, and they will see this low grade resentment, biting comments, disregard, dismissal, satire, teasing. Oh, I'm just making a joke, when they're really just trying to tear you apart. Their dissatisfaction in the relationship becomes visible, becomes palpable. And then you feel judged. You feel unaccepted. You feel unwanted. You feel like there's this mean, negative energy here in this space between us, and you're just not happy with me. And then my side. And I say, wow, I wish you could just be happy with me. I wish you could just be okay with the way things are and the truth of who I am. Because what I feel like all the time is I feel like you keep wanting me to be different than I am. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to satisfy you. I don't know how to do it enough or well enough or whatever to get to the point that you will finally accept me and calm down and just come back to loving me for who I am. So I wish you could be different in that way. And now we have both people wishing the other was different. And because we mask it in all sorts of crazy BS illusions and projections and justifications and everything else, we usually just don't even get down to the root of it. And it's just like, oh no, he's obsessed with video games, and she's obsessed with this, cooking or cleaning or whatever, and we'll attribute these data personality types. We will attribute these. We'll just label them. It's like, oh, she's introvert, extrovert, narcissist, whatever, blah 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 blah. We just label the other person to simplify it and say that's where the problem is. The problem is because it's your personality type, or it's because of this, or because of that, or the label, or whatever. Instead of just saying like, no, what's really going on here is I want you to be different. That's it. I want you to be different than you are. And I feel like I'm justified in wanting that. Boom. Toxicity. You're on a one-way ticket to Toxic Town and the toxic roller coaster. So what do we do about this? As far as I can tell, this only has two answers. Well, three. If I am in a position where I'm with a partner and they are doing something or responding or believing something that I don't agree with, I can, one, completely and totally accept them as they are. Every ugly wrinkle, every strange belief, every odd behavior pattern, I can accept it, or I can do this middle one, which is like, I want it to be different, but I'm not getting what I want. And so now I'm going to sit here in kind of subconscious, silent resentment and anger and dissatisfaction and vitriol until it percolates and boils and infuses my responses, my beliefs, my emotional state, my sexual connection. Everything begins to be altered, corrupted, and tainted by this resentment that I have here. That's option 2. Option 3 is, this isn't working for me. I'm going to walk away. And those are the 3 options I'm not aware of anymore. You either accept them or you walk. Because if you don't accept them and you don't walk, now you're in the middle. I don't accept you for who you are, but I refuse to walk away. Whose fault is that? When we get to that point where I do not accept you and your behavior and your thought patterns and everything else, but yet I refuse to walk away for whatever reasons, I have now brought myself to this position of toxicity. I want my partner to be different than they are. I'm bringing the toxicity, and I'm amplifying that energy that I have is going to amplify whatever toxic dynamics are in the relationship already. We, all of us, need to get to a point where it's just like doing workout, habitual response, whatever. When we are in a point of dissatisfaction or conflict with our partner, we need to immediately ask the question, am I right now wishing that they were different than they are? The answer will usually be yes. And when we get that yes answer, we can say, I'm the toxic one here. They might also be bringing all sorts of drama and trouble and everything else. They may not be honoring my emotions or make me feel seen and heard. They might actually be, aggressive or cheating or deceptive or whatever. But who cares, right? That's their business. My business is on me. What am I bringing to this relationship, and why am I staying here? If I've got a person who's maintaining, just comes out that they've been doing some kind of long-term deception, they've been cheating or lying or whatever, and I stay another 10 seconds, well, I'm not choosing this one. And I'm probably not going to be in a point where I completely accept them for being a cheater or a liar or a thief or whatever, right? I'm probably not accepting them for that, and I'm not walking away. That leaves us in the middle. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like who they are. I don't like the decisions they're making. I don't like their value system. I don't like the entire way that they're choosing to live their life. But yet I'm not walking away. Whose responsibility is that? And this is one of the problems we see on the internet today. We've got a million people all choosing not to go for reasons that usually have to do with fear of abandonment, loss, and terror of being alone. Anyway, whatever. They've got all their reasons for not leaving, but yet they're sure as hell not accepting them the way they are. So they stay in this toxic effing cesspool of hatred, anger, judgment, psychological labels, vitriol, you name it. It is a cesspool of negative emotions. And what do? They sit there, marinate in it, and they reach out to the world and be like, other people who are also in this same negative cesspool, come here and tell me that I'm justified in hating my partner and being so pissed at them that they are behaving the way they are. And sure enough, you will find them. You will find many thousands and thousands of people that are just swimming and marinating in that same cesspool of hatred, vitriol, dissatisfaction, everything. If it does not work for you, walk away. Simple as that. Simple is not the same as easy. The simple answer is leave. Begin the process of setting up your entire life so that you can leave this situation because it is hopeless. How do we know it's hopeless? People say it might turn around. No, it won't. Take it from all the experts. No, it won't. It's not going to get better. They're not going to come around. How do we know this? It's like, oh, well, they might change, but no, because that's not the issue. The issue is that if you choose to stay in this toxic cesspool of judgment, criticism, blame, victimhood, the whole mess, instead of walking away, you're like, I refuse to walk away and I refuse to accept them the way they are. I'm going to stay right here and just be angry about it, be hurt by it. That means your nervous system is optimized to use anger, judgment, criticism, blame, shame, victimhood as a survival mechanism in response to stress. And the reason you probably have that optimization is because you learned it from your parents. And I'm saying this as someone who was 100% optimized in that way for the longest time. And it took me a long time to realize that it was just like, I literally learned every one of these from my parents. Instead of doing anything about it, your parents, instead of saying, I'm going to accept it as it is and take some kind of positive action that will help us get to a different place, and I'm going to be patient and accepting with you, who you are, because now we're talking about the parents speaking to you as a child. See? The parent is saying, I don't accept you, child, as you are, and I'm not going to end this relationship. So I'm going to stay here in the middle and just be judgmental, critical, victim card, blamey, shamey, any kind of emotional aggression that will force you to change your behavior. That's what mom and dad probably did to you. That's what mom and dad did to me. That's what mom and dad do to most people. They literally model this idea that I don't like what's happening and I refuse to accept it the way it is. I refuse to come up with a constructive or supportive or nurturing way to solve this problem. I'm just going to sit here in vitriol and emotional dissatisfaction, and I'm going to make sure you know most moments of most days that I'm dissatisfied with you. You're not enough. I'm judging you. I don't like what you're doing. I'm not happy with you. You, little child, are bad. And if only you could do everything right, then I would let go of all this criticism and I'd finally love you the way you are. No, that's not how it works. But see, that's the pattern. We learned that from our parents. We learned this method of emotional manipulation and blame game because that's what our parents did to us, and it's probably what our parents did to everyone else that ever disagreed with them. So we literally learn an entire lifestyle, an entire matrix of appropriate responses that now lives inside us. We have those lessons, and now we bringing them to bear on our romantic relationship. And so people sit here and say, well, maybe my avoidant partner could heal his attachment wounds and he'll be back present for me and then everything will be fine. And it's just like, no, it won't. Because you are in this place where you thought the plane that's sitting in the middle, increasing toxicity, shame, blame, victimhood, was an appropriate reaction to that situation, which means you'll do it again and again and again. And that partner might go through their little journey and they might come back to you, but eventually they're going to be in a day where they're just like, wow, you don't accept me the way I am. If I can't do things exactly the way you want me to, you're going to be angry with me. You're going to be judging me. You're going to withhold love. You're going to separate. There's going to be criticism and judgment. I don't want that in my life. I don't. And then they leave. They walk away. This is how toxicity works. Toxicity emanates from the birthplace. The cradle of toxicity begins at, I want you to be different than you are. I do not accept you the way you are. And then like add on to that a whole other layer of toxicity, which is like, and I'm going to be angry with you. I'm going to be dissatisfied. I'm going to be judgmental. I'm going to be nibbling and biting and filled with passive aggressive bullshit. There's no answer for that. So this is a challenge to every single person out there that is in romantic relationship, has been in romantic relationship, wants to be in romantic relationship, or just have healthy relationships with other humans in general. Check yourself first. It's never about the other person. Check yourself and be like, am I in a situation here where I do not want to accept them the way they are? Can I get myself to the point where I'm like, I get it. They're a self-contained, wholly autonomous, separate individual. They get to do whatever they want. Can I accept them there? Can I just be at the point where I'm just like, okay, we don't agree on that. We don't see eye to eye. Our value systems are different. Can I completely accept them there? If not, walk away. Because that middle ground is really bad. And I've rarely, ever seen anyone come out of it unscathed, healthy, or joyful, really. So do that. I hope you found this helpful. This has been a very deep dive into toxicity, what creates it, and how we can kind of navigate around it. And it is not an easy task. Simple, but not easy. I wish you the best. I hope this has been helpful. Again, I'm Kirby, attachment and trauma specialist, and the author of the Two Mind Method. If you're seeing this video, you're probably already seeing all my socials. Two Mind Method everywhere. I do one-on-one sessions. I do group work. I save marriages sometimes. And I love teaching. So if you've enjoyed this, please do the whole like, subscribe, etc., etc. But even more than that, reach out to me and let me help you with your challenges in life. And it would bring me wonderful joy. Wish you the best. I believe in you. Peace.